Hello everybody. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about feedback, criticism, the way that I believe we can do better in those areas to make Stormblood the best expansion ever to ever exist, be the best it possibly can be. Now, joking aside, while I do believe that Stormblood is going to be amazing, while this expansion is going to be fantastic, there is a lot of potential in both ways of being a very good experience and a very negative experience. And a lot of that rides on our shoulders as members of the Final Fantasy XIV community. And I love being a part of this community. But I, myself, as a part of it, and others that I've witnessed on the forums and subreddit, are falling short in certain areas that I hope I can address well here today that will help Stormblood live up to all the hype that it's getting. It was very rude of me burping into the mic like that. I apologize. So, right off the bat, I know the idea of criticizing, for a lot of people, it rubs most everybody the wrong way. Whether or not you're up the highest tier of professionalism or on the playground. You don't like getting criticized. Nobody likes talking about it. It's kind of one of those things that just makes people feel uncomfortable. But I believe that it is something that doesn't have a negative connotation in this sense. It is something that is very neutral, that can be used when things are good as well as when things are bad. And that can be used to really help push things to the next level of development if those critiques and those analyses are taken to heart. So I know a lot of people will also expect me to do the constructive criticism. That means sugarcoating and ego stroking people, not really addressing any problems, but making kind of the effort for it, and pretending to make some sort of change while just making sure that they don't feel bad about themselves, which is not the case that not my intention here, and I'd like to try and avoid that. And I know that might be an expectation in this video because my audience is seen as the mid-core or casual player base, which is typically known for either being more sensitive or not wanting to deal with the stress of raiding, and which is fair, not true all the time, but the general conception. But the reality is that I have a much wider spectrum of you guys as fans, of people who just watch my videos and our content, as well as people who have backed me financially. So I know your vested interest is in me as much as mine is in you. People who have never even set foot in Alexander raids, even normal, as well as the people who have beaten the Savage content within the first month of it being released and then being bored out of their damn minds while wanting something out of the game but having nothing to do. So I've had a lot of these perspectives coming at me, so I hope that you guys understand watching this that I'm not just coming single-mindedly at one group or another. I'm trying to address y'all as members of the Final Fantasy XIV community in your entirety. I'm not going to touch on everything. I've been doing this recording, excuse me, again, burping. I've been doing this recording a few other times. I'm trying to get everything in there, so I'm going to miss a few points. So I hope that this conversation can continue in the comments, and you can critique my critique of critiquing, and we can have that discussion later on for any points that I miss. So feel free to leave those comments there as we delve further into this right now. Or after we delve further in, and once you're done watching this. Hopefully you're not commenting before finishing this video. So, the main reason for me bringing this up is that my philosophy, or just observation, that the best way to get an honest opinion out of somebody is to piss them off. Now, I believe this is true. I do not believe I should have said it in a job interview, especially without the context that I'm about to provide. Context being, I do not think that Square Enix should go out of their way to piss people off in order to get the feedback that they need to make a good game. I do not think that they should go out of their way to upset people. And I do not think that they should wait around and completely ignore what's going on in the community just to make sure that they're paying attention. The reason I'm saying this is because I see it a lot in the forums, in the subreddit, and a lot of different discussions, whether it be on different streams or my own. A lot of complaining going on about things that are happening, but not a whole lot of substance to these things. And so what happens is you get these complaints that Square Enix then gets, the Final Fantasy XIV team gets, that's a mouthful, but they can't do anything with it because they don't know what to do with it. So they're left in this spot where they can't do anything but flip a coin and hope that the decisions that they've made in their team, which is very limited, you must understand, compared to the vast majority of players, the ratio is very disproportionate in our favor in that point, or in that regard. So what they're able to come up with, while still brilliant and fantastic, things that I very much enjoy and I admire, it's not going to be all-encompassing and it's not going to be perfect. And without the proper feedback, all they can do is go off of what they know. Now, going back into people are just upset about this thing, it's not all about the people who are complaining. It's about the people, including myself, who have been complacent with things happening in the game that just seem baseline. This is what we expect. This is a good game. This is nice in the game. But we're not communicating what that is. We're not communicating what is good and why. And that is very important, I believe. Do I have a booger? That would be totally horrible if I've been doing this whole thing with a booger on my nose. I'm sorry, I'm doing this in one take, so you're gonna get a lot of flub. Back to the point. If people are not giving that feedback as well, then they don't know what is good, what to keep doing, or what to include in the new features that they try and experiment with, which makes the rate of success much, much lower, at least prospectively. Now, I did have a whole bit where I was going to go into the type of attitude where the whole elitist thing would happen, and really, the elitists in the community, the people who are the hardcore, have their place, and honestly probably do much more than people give them credit for. So I will come back to that. Because it's really a matter of the people who are not providing the people who are speaking up. So let's go back to the negativity, because everybody loves that. People are saying, this is dumb, this is stupid, and I hate it. And you guys are stupid for doing it, and you should have known better. First of all, you're talking, again, to professionals. These are people who have made a AAA game, who have produced it, registered it, and gotten it into the hands of millions of people, who are doing a great job objectively, meaning that they're making a good chunk of change off of it, while still caring so much about it, which is phenomenal, in my opinion anyway. So that kind of attitude, that kind of mentality does not go over well in a professional setting. Hell, it won't even go over well in a personal setting. So taking that kind of a thing where, oh yeah, this is just stupid, and then expecting them to take you seriously or even make a change, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because it invalidates what you're talking about, while at the same time completely missing the point and opportunity to make something happen, to make a change possible. And it's, not to such a degree when you're talking about people who are like, oh yeah, this is great, I love it. It's still, a professional can't glean anything from that aside from, okay, they liked it, I'm not sure what part they liked, so then they try and do something else, and oh no, this doesn't apply here. Well, they didn't know. So now they're stuck in a situation having to make tweaks and adjustments rather than push forward with new content, which I believe to be an issue. Now, it kind of goes with an example of this. So we started off Heavensward with Gordius, the monster that it was, and some people said it was too difficult. A lot of people said it was too difficult. I'm not going to say, I don't know, was it most? I don't have the numbers in front of me, guys. But a lot of people did not like it. Whether or not it was too hard, it was too boring, it was just not gratifying. to actually get through. But again, people just said this needs to be harder or this needs to be easier when in regards to the raid team. So in the last fan fests, we have that question come up to Yoshida-san, and they're saying creator was super duper easy. Can we get a harder raid? And he's just like, I don't know what you guys want, because it's not being articulated in the proper way. What isn't hard enough? Is it? So, I mean, you've got some people that are just impossible to please, where nothing is good enough, and that's just frustrating on its own. But then on top of that, having people make the constant criticisms of it, but not actually give any substance. Was it the healing checks that were too tough or not hard enough? Was it the mechanics? What kind of mechanics do you like? Is it the mechanics that we've used before that you like? Do you want to see something new? Do you want us to experiment with stuff? Is it DPS checks that you want more of? Do you want to be split up? Do you want more cooperative things where you're helping each other out? All those things need to be implemented, and you don't have to come to them with a solution, but at least telling them where you're coming from, what your dissatisfaction or satisfaction, depending on where you're standing on it, where that derives from. That's what's important. So just seeing the frustration and even feeling it a bit like, I don't even know where the community wants to go. Because yes, Creator was much, much easier than Gordius, but Gordius was in a bad place. I personally liked where Midas was. But this isn't a discussion about the raid tiers. But, I mean, even in our own group, we have person, who will say, this fight sucks. Well, why does it suck? Well, all they're doing is giving it an artificial difficulty because of healing check. Well, doesn't a healing check make it difficult? Well, yeah, but still, it's still really cheap and they should do something else. Like what? Well, like more mechanics, and then another mechanic comes in there. This is the dumbest mechanic ever. Why is it dumb? And just this over and over in this vicious cycle where something difficult, something challenging just makes it bad inherently. And I would probably be throwing my hands up as well. Just like, I don't know what to give you guys anymore. And it's really, I mean, it's fallen on me as much as the people making the complaints, because I haven't said what I really enjoyed about it on the forums or on the subreddit or anything, nor made videos about it. So aside from the jokes that we make, but that's not really a whole lot of data to pull from. So that's something that I think that I would hope changes when going into Stormblood, because it's something that is clearly an issue. And something that I really believe that they want to fix, but they just don't know how. And I know that not everybody is the social butterfly that I am. That people don't... if this was in front of an audience right now, I'd be stammering a whole lot more, but I'd be loving it that much more too. I love public speaking. I love interacting with people. I love, you know, when we went to FanFest and just everybody around and coming up to me. It exhausts me to no end, but it's very enjoyable. But not everybody is like that. A lot of people, even in a raid setting, will stick themselves on push to talk. I'm going to talk when I need to do something. That's all you need to know. That's all you're going to get from me. And that's fine, and I get it. So articulation in social interaction and being able to give the detailed thoughts or give your thoughts some sort of form in a constructive way, it may not be the best thing. So don't, or the easiest thing rather. So don't think that I'm coming at you negatively or with an open hand. An aggressive open hand, not like, here you go, like I'm going to hit you. Moving on. I understand that it's not the easiest thing, that's why I'm bringing it up. This is one of the examples of how I believe a criticism can be. And like I said earlier, if you have a critique of my critique of critiquing, then feel free to put it in the comments and we can have a discussion. Because honestly, that's where it comes in. Because it's not only what we give to the development team, it's how we interact with each other. You can very well make a discussion, or have a discussion, make the argument, this is what I don't like about this game, and then talk to maybe a casual player or a mid-core player. So let's say a hardcore player and a mid-core player are talking about raiding. This is why I'm dissatisfied with the raids. Mid-core player says, well, this is why I'm happy with the raids. And then they can talk. Well, you're an idiot. Well, you're retarded. Well, yeah, maybe if you weren't so stupid. Well, maybe if you weren't casual. And, you know the normal song and dance and this and that, the back and forth. Ugh. Anyway. it doesn't have to be like that. It can be like, or it can very well end up as, oh, okay, I see where you're saying, yes, I believe that that would help the overall quality of the raid. Or just saying, I don't agree because I have a different experience with it, but I understand why you're frustrated, or I understand why you like it, and part ways. No mean things said, no hostilities or inflammatory comments. You can just agree to disagree. And I think a lot of people have an issue with that because that means that their point is invalidated, that they said that they are wrong. And it's an opinion. It doesn't have to be right. It's just you can explain it and be able to justify it and then leave it at that. And it's very possible, and I think moving forward as a healthy community, that is necessary. To not take things as personally, but also to be able to express things healthily. Even if you're not, being understanding of the other person talking to you, that it's not always meant to put you down. Sometimes it is, and that's very easily detected in a lot of ways by their vernacular and the ways that they're talking to you and the words that they use and how colorful they decide to be. But this extra effort, I believe, is worth it because I love this game and I love the team that we were given for the development. I love the producer for everything that he has done and the transparency that we've been given, as much as they've been able to, really. And just because things haven't gone my way, just because things haven't gone the community's way, or things haven't always happened the way that you think that they should have, doesn't mean that they don't care, and it doesn't mean that they're not listening. If you have taken that effort and made that, taken that stride forward and made that effort to say, this is wrong, or I like this, or I don't like this because, and then give them that and they don't do anything with it, or they're not doing it the way that you think that they should, you have to understand their position, that they're not always, they don't have the freedom to just make things happen. They have a limitation of people, of deadlines, of timelines. The internal politics of the company that they work under. It's so many factors play in. And the fact that they've given us the live letters, things that do not happen in other MMOs that I've seen anyway. The fact that we get community digests and the community teams from the various regions talking to us about different things that are happening in the game and what that means for us, and starting those conversations and including us in the development of the game to certain extents, whether it be in the form of contests or opening the forums to us or encouraging us to do this or that and make our voices heard. Don't take that for granted because it doesn't happen everywhere. And the fact that they value our time and our money and like valuing that we could very well spend it elsewhere. The fact that they respect that deserves respect in return. Because they really do care. I believe that genuinely. And I'm not just saying this to defend them or to blow smoke up their ass. I'm saying this because I'm putting my time into this game. I'm putting my money into this game. I'm hanging out with my friends in this game. And I want it to be a good experience. I want to have fun during it. And they're giving me the opportunity to make the experience better. So I would like to take that hand that they've outreached to us. So when they're doing these things, remember that they are human, that they're professional, as loosely as that term is thrown around. I've done this take so many times, I'm not sure what I've said before, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself a lot. I'm just trying to make sure I cover everything. They are a professional team. As goofy as some of them are, or as serious as some of them are, they still care about giving us quality product. And they're going to make miscalculations every now and then. Some is just going to be human error, and others are just going to be, they don't know how we're going to interact with the game. They have their simulations and their limited group. They're doing everything they can to make sure that it's working right. And as soon as they ship it out to us, then we get our hands on it. And millions of people are interacting with it and having their different opinions and views and all of that. That experience is nothing that they could simulate. There's no algorithm that they could have written to make sure that they could account for it. So you have to understand that a lot of the problems that happen are just unforeseen things because of the variable of human nature. And they are just human. So when we're going into this, along with being respectful, along with being detailed in the critiques that we have, try and be empathetic. Not sympathetic, not patting them on the head. Poor babies. Oh, you just got it so hard. They're professionals in a line of work that demands a lot of their time. They know what they're getting into, but just know that they have limitations. That's all I'm saying. Just show some understanding. And when you're making these, whether it be a demand or a suggestion or a sign of gratitude, just know what they're going through as well, what it means for them. And when they don't do things exactly the way that you want them to, cut them some slack. Keep making your suggestions. Keep giving them what you can about what's going on. And if it's eventually too much and it's not fun for you anymore, then you are free to leave. I'm not saying that to be snide, and I'm not saying that to spite you. That is how things work. And they are having to deal with a large spectrum of people. It's not just PvPers, it's not just PvE, well, it's mostly PvEers. But you know what I mean, when different MMOs have their different communities, it's a very widespread thing from casual all the way up to hardcore. We have to understand that, like I said before, my audience is very wide, so I've seen the impact that we all have on the community and in the game. So casual players are the majority of people, and they're doing things slowly and turtling, and their subscription times are going on longer and longer than most people who raid for a couple months, they're done, moving on to another game. That's it. That's fine if they do that. But it would be foolish as a business model to cater to those people who are only subbed for 2 months out of the year. Or, excuse me, out of the a month. Excuse me, stop burping. A month or so out of the 2 or 3 month or 6 month patch cycle, wherever they decide to come back into. So, as well as the hardcore players who are only doing the raid content, which is a big part of the game, but also relatively small, singular part of the game. Still important, and I still love it. I still want them to pay a lot of attention to it, don't get me wrong. So they're catering to the needs of the casual players because that's keeping the whole thing afloat. Their feedback helps them keep these people happy. I'm not saying this to talk down to you casual players. I'm not. Trust me. You're very, very important, and a lot of the things that the casual community suggests, I love. Different mounts, different aspects of the, whatever it be, story, or just different things that we interact with in the world, like the Hildebrand quest lines or the Inquisitor quest lines, all those side things, or the Moogle stuff, things that are just for fun. I still enjoy those aspects of the game. It makes it feel more real, more immersive, and I enjoy that. So you're still contributing greatly to the game, aside from just ponying up your subscription fee every month. Then you've got the mid-core players and the hardcore players. And when I was talking about the elitists and how they get a bad rap, these are the people that are doing the best in slots and the data mining and the number crunching and the theory crafting, that are taking the very finite and minute pieces of the game. I didn't mean finite, minute. It's just these small parts that you would think are insignificant, and just going through everything and criticizing it, and not in the bad way, but like putting it under a microscope and saying this isn't working because these numbers aren't adding up, or it's not possible to do this under this situation or this circumstance. But they're finding ways to make these fights possible. They're coming up with the strategies for the mid-core and the casual players to use in order to beat the content, so that they don't have to be necessarily world first, but they can still enjoy it. And everybody works together in that way. We're all intertwined to some extent or another. So if you are the most callous person in the world, but you are just going to town on these numbers, we may not get along personally, but I respect the hell out of what you do, and I respect what you do for the game. And know that you are appreciated just as much as the casual players who are probably the majority of my viewership, or probably the majority of the people who I'm friends with in the content creation community, and people who hang out with us in streams. and the people who probably berate me a lot in Duty Finder for things that I do clearly mess up. And hopefully you are to the level that I'm actually learning something from you. And it's a neutral, or at least beneficial, interaction in the end. Whereas there are a lot of people that think they're all that, and they just have no merit and give you guys a bad name. So I want us to go into Stormblood with that hype, but knowing that if the game doesn't live up to the hype initially, that's not the end, and that we have a way to help, not just the power to make it happen. We have the opportunity to help the developers do things, and they care. They care enough to listen. And so I hope that through listening to this, that you guys understand that and you are motivated, as I have been, to take a more active role in the community, to face the negativity, to face the people who will troll us, and the people who will just be outright negative, to not get into arguments with them, because that, honestly, the best way to diffuse it is to hit them with a logical argument. Don't let emotion get into it, and they usually, if you're calm about it, don't have a leg to stand on after that, or you just ignore them and they go away. It's very frustrating, I know, but if we can face that, if we can get over that and get through it, and just put in the effort, that little extra effort to make this game as great as the developers want it to be, and as great as it can be, and as great as it has been, at least for me and my friends. This is going to be an amazing expansion, and it's going to be a wonderful time, not just for the content that I can produce, not just for the game that we get to play, but for the experience that we have with each other. And I really hope that this makes a difference in that. But in any case, this is a bit longer. I'm glad if you've stuck with it for this long. I appreciate it. All your guys' support, and those of you who I know probably don't watch me very often, who maybe got directed to this because somebody felt that I made a point. I'm glad you came here, and I hope that we can have a further discussion in the comments if you feel so inclined. Like I said, we may not get along. I may not even get along with all my fans if we were face to face in a social interaction, but I believe we can still have a good conversation, and we can still work together on the common ground that we love this game and we want it to be the best that it can be. So on that note, guys, if this is something that you who have been following me for a while like, then let me know, and I will be happy to do some more of these. Because as much as I want to say that it doesn't take as much editing, it still takes a lot of my time to sit here and go through the 3 or 4 or 5 takes to make sure that I've gotten everything that I want to talk about. It's still a fairly new layout, so be patient with it, and I'm glad that you have stuck around. So anyway, that's it for now, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, morning, afternoon, wherever this finds you, and I will see you next time.